The blaster fire ricochets off the metal walls, echoing through the dimly lit office. I sit, hunched over my terminal, fingers flying across the keyboard as I enter the latest bounty details. The guild protocol mandates precision. A single keystroke could mean life or death for someone. A new dossier arrives on my screen. Processing dossiers must be completed within 5 minutes to avoid data corruption. A name flashes out: Vexius, a notorious mercenary. His last known location is on the remote planet of Kayla before. I enter his coordinates and the amount due. Suddenly, a low, menacing voice booms from behind me. "You're making progress, boy." Ah. I whirl around to face the looming figure of Zarrin, my rival and chief at the guild. His eyes gleam with a mix of contempt and hunger. "Oh, still working on Vexus," I say, trying to keep calm. "Almost done." "Almost done." Zarrin snarls, his hand tightening into a fist. Zarrin's voice hardens. "Are you more than just a desk jockey for the bounty system? Really? They mind me starting to feel too comfortable here." Marigo had the mentoring at Richo. My screen flickers and the data for Vexius disappears. A message pops up. Unsaved changes have been lost due to system instability. I curse under my breath as Zarrin smirks. His fingers brush against mine, sending a chill down my spine as he whispers, "Maybe next time." He turns and walks away, leaving me alone in the office once more. The silence is oppressive, the weight of my mistakes heavy on my shoulders. What will I do if Zarrin decides to make an example out of me? Serving the bounty system from a desk. There we go. The office is cluttered with stacks of invoices and data pads, each detailing a new contract or the payment of another debt. The door chimes, interrupting my current invoice. I glance at the screen. It asks just another requester, collect a slicer named Zorvos, for 50,000 credits. "Enter," I say into the comm, and Zor steps in, carrying his usual air of casual arrogance. "Another bounty?" he asks, setting down his blaster. He asks, "Isn't that why I'm here?" "To process paperwork?" I nod, typing in his details. "Yes, but remember, every contract is a step toward your freedom." A silence hangs between us as I enter the data. The protocol states, all bounties must be processed within 24 hours to avoid delays. Zor leans against the desk, arms crossed. "So, what happens if I don't get paid?" I look up from the screen, my eyes meeting his. Invoices pile up. I say, simply, "Understand, now," and we both know how much those can add up. Noticing, his smirk widens. "Oh, I see. It's like you're running a game, isn't it? A zero-sum game where I win my freedom by staying alive and earning enough credits to leave." The door chimes again, signaling another arrival. "Looks like your time is up," I say, standing. Zor stands too, his eyes narrowing. "Let's see how much of that freedom you can offer me." A shadow flickers across a dimly lit office. I tap away at the holographic keyboard, invoices piling up like mountains. A warning flashes, alerting me to potential data loss if I don't save my work. Zorvos's request for bounty payment looms over me, critical and urgent. A sudden noise from behind makes my heart race. I turn to the left and come back now. Sylas, the desk manager, peers around the corner. "Almost done, huh?" he whispers. "Zarrin, is breathing down your neck." Fingers flying over the keyboard. I enter the last figure and hit save, just as the screen flickers again. The screen flashes, and I barely manage to hit save, just as it goes black. Zor's request clears my backlog, but now his invoice sits unpaid. Zorvos will not be able to pay for his freedom if this payment is delayed any longer. I shout, what if Zarrin sees me working too hard? Mission, I'm a wild killing and down. Inara's fingers danced over the holographic keyboard, each tap a lifeline for Zora. Busting and Kramer. The invoice she typed was critical. If it saved his payment, he might avoid auction to the highest bidder. She couldn't afford a moment's delay. Monsieur Guard, not discipline call, not trouble, not daily stir, I research. Save and send, Inara murmured, her heart pounding, as the system warned of impending instability. Come on, come on. The screen flickered once, twice, and then froze completely. Zorvos's payment request was lost. Panic surged through her veins. No, she hissed, knowing this could mean his certain death. Sylas poked his head in, a stack of papers, cradled under one arm. Inara. 5 minutes left, a voice announced. Inara's eyes widened as she scanned the room for Zarrin. She's cell, and Anklingese is a crowd and Maestra. Not. He wasn't here yet, but he was bound to find out soon enough. Under Miss Selker, after I still kill, no ya, Metin wax. Quickly now, Sylas said, his voice urgent. I'll get you a backup file. If you need it. Inara nodded, her mind racing. No Selker, when I'd find the show, don't restore it, or kill. Could she salvage this? Or would Zorvos's freedom be lost forever? Would Zarrin strike when he thinks I've failed him again? Inara hurriedly tapped out the final invoice, her fingers flying over the holographic keyboard. Save, she commanded, but a warning buzzed in her ear. Sylas, noticing her distress, stepped closer with a stack of data pads. Let me handle this, Inara. Nothing to many Kaladimar. Won't recuperate shell. Inochi. Will it cure? Focus, Inara. Medicine validation. Medicine Zarrin. I'll collecting. She nodded, eyes darting between the screen and the door, where Zarrin's presence loomed like an impending storm. The system-as. Instability meant any moment could mean losing Zorvos's payment forever. Inara glanced at Sylas, gratitude flooding her, but tempered by urgency. What? Can you handle things here for a moment? I'm a teacher. I don't want to interact you. Avoid my brains. I need to check something. Sylas hesitated, then nodded. Go, he said firmly, his eyes following Inara as she dashed towards the door, heart pounding. Inara sprinted down the dim corridor, her breath quickening with each step. The hallway echoed with the distant hum of machinery and the soft hiss of a vent, opening just ahead. She paused, catching her breath, and slipped inside, pressing her back against the cold metal as she listened intently for any sign of Zarrin. A sudden chill ran down her spine. The vent made an odd creaking noise, drawing her attention to the shadows beyond. Inara pressed herself deeper into the corner, holding her breath. Who's there? A voice hissed from the darkness. Inara's mind raced up. Was it Zarrin? A system? Glitch? She couldn't out tell. The vent began to close, trapping her in a small dark space with no clear escape route. What if he finds me here? Or what if he finds me here? The vent sealed shut with a final click, and Inara remained motionless, waiting for the sound of footsteps or worse. Inara clutches her holocom device, sweat beading on her brow as Zarrin's footsteps echo in the corridor. The vents hum dangerously, and she risks being trapped if she stays long. Damn it! Nindo, Sylas curses under his breath, fumbling with the system diagnostics. You can't just ignore this. Inara slides to a stop behind the desk, her heart pounding. She can see Zarrin's silhouette through the vent grating, his eyes piercing and cold. Panic surges as she realizes he might find her if she doesn't act fast. Quick, Inara! Quick, Inara! Input the override code, Sylas yells, fingers flying over the keyboard. Now! Inara snatches a datapad, her hands trembling as she types in the emergency protocol. The screen flickers, and she hears Zarrin's breathing grow louder. The vent door begins to whine open, and Inara races for the backup drive. As she yanks it out, Zarrin's hand grabs hers, pulling her back into view. Looking for this? He hisses, his grip tightening. Inara chokes on a gasp, the datapad clattering to the floor as Zarrin's eyes flash with rage. No, she stammers. Ow. The vent door finally opens fully, and Sylas's face peeks out, alarm clear in his eyes. Get her out of there, he yells over the noise. Inara struggles against Zarrin, but he holds firm. The system blinks, signaling imminent failure as Sylas works desperately to stabilize it. Save me, Inara whispers, her voice barely audible. Zarrin's expression hardens, and for a moment she sees something familiar in his eyes. Fear, but then the look is gone, replaced by icy resolve. You're not going anywhere, Inara, he growls, dragging her into the light. Sylas's fingers dance over the keyboard one last time, before the screen goes dark. The room plunges into silence, as Zarrin drags Inara to a chair and cuffs her hands behind it. Tell me why you did this, Zarrin demands, his voice low and menacing. Why are you saved? Ross. Inara's mind races, but she knows one thing. Her actions have just made things worse. What will happen now that he knows? Inara pressed her fingers against the cold metal desk, her knuckles white. The terminal beeped softly, as Zarrin's stern face appeared on the screen. The override protocol is initiated only in cases of system failure. Zarrin's eyes narrowed, recognizing Inara, desperate attempt to buy time. You won't get away with this, she growled. Sylas, voice crackled over the comm link. Inara, Yottiv isolated the server. Can you still access it? I'm trying, Inara replied, her heart pounding. The screen flickered as Zarrin lunged forward, snatching at the terminal. Inara pulled away just in time. The screen flashed with an error message. Access denied, pending override request. Inara's fingers danced across the keyboard, but each key press was met with a harsh buzz and warning tone from the security protocol. Sylas, we only have minutes. Working on it, he gritted out, his voice growing more urgent. Zarrin's eyes darted around, searching for any weakness. Inara's mind raced. If she could unearth this system, they were trapped. Panic clawed at her throat as Zarrin grabbed a nearby chair and slammed it against the desk, nearly breaking through. A sharp ping echoed in the room. A security lockdown was imminent. The terminal went dark, leaving Inara standing alone with only her breath for company. What could she do now? Mancedo, Marvin, Reinstreaking now. Inara's heart pounded as Zarrin's footsteps echoed in the narrow hallway. She pressed her back against the cold metal wall, eyes glued to the screen where Sylas's fingers danced over the keyboard. The override code is critical for bypassing security. And then stand contact back low and down authority scouting IT. Inara's thoughts moved quickly as time pressed on. The lockdown countdown on the screen ticked down ominously. She had to act fast. Sylas typed furiously, but the protocol was tighter. Each step required a precise sequence of codes. A mistake could mean failure. A mistake could mean failure. Failure means Inara and everyone else are trapped here. Inara grabbed a nearby clipboard and hurled it at the server door, drawing Zarrin's attention. The door slid open with a hiss, buying them just enough time. Zarrin paused, eyes narrowing in suspicion. Inara used this moment to slip behind her desk and access the hidden compartment where Sylas had stashed the override code. With trembling hands, she typed the final sequence of codes. The screen flickered, then went dark as the protocol was overridden. No to hope it's enough. Inara sprinted to her terminal, fingers flying across the keyboard. The screen flashed with urgent protocol warnings as Zarrin's heavy boots echoed down the corridor. Ninsi, override failed, Inara hissed, tapping harder. Come on, come on. The door slid open just in time, revealing Sylas standing with his hands up. Inara, we need Tor. Before he could finish, the lockdown signal began to hum through the halls. The computers whirred louder as security protocols kicked into high alert. Get back to your station. Inara barked at Sylas, grabbing a nearby datapad. We have to secure this server. No, Zarrin snarled and lunged towards them, but Inara pressed her palm against the terminal's biometric lock, triggering an emergency override sequence. The room filled with static as the system scrambled. Secure channels, she murmured, fingers flying again. Now. My system working. It won't come, Now. Sylas hurried to his position, fumbling with a control panel. Eton's not working. A sharp beep interrupted them. Inara's heart sank. The encryption is too strong. With a frustrated cry, Zarrin burst into the room, brandishing a weapon. Do you really think you can outsmart me? He snarled. Inara dove behind her desk, pulling out a blaster. The battle was about to begin in earnest. Would she be able to protect Sylas and secure the server? Would Zarrin's rage consume them all? A gunshot shattered the silence. Inara's fingers flew over the keyboard, her heart pounding as Zarrin loomed closer. Sylas, hurry, she shouted. The server hummed under Sylas's frantic touches, but the emergency override sequence stalled. A digital red warning flashed across the screen. System lockdown imminent. Zarrin's heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor, his weapon glinting menacingly. Inara turned to face him, her eyes wide with desperation. No more running, she said through gritted teeth. With a final keystroke, Sylas activated the override protocol. The warning vanished as the server rebooted, but Zarrin's hand tightened on his weapon. Zarrin's eyes narrowed as he glared at Inara. The door slid shut behind them, sealing off the escape route. Inara and Sylas were trapped in a small room, the air thick with tension. Think, Inara, Sylas whispered, his voice barely audible over the pounding of their hearts. Inara's mind raced. The protocol had bought time, but not enough. What could they do now? The unanswered sentence hung in the air. Can we trust anyone else to help? Inara typed frantically, her fingers barely beating the clock, as Zarrin's growl echoed from outside. We need to get out of here, Sylas hissed, his voice strained. The rumors, emergency protocol, failed again, and alarms wailed, signaling an imminent lockdown. Panic surged through Inara. Time was running out. Sylas darted to a filing cabinet and began rummaging through papers, ignoring the red light blinking menacingly on the server console. There must be another way, he muttered, flipping through documents with shaking hands. Inara's heart pounded as Zarrin stepped closer, his weapon raised. You're not going anywhere, he snarled. I don't control. Only still the down. Why still bigger knocking? He snarled. With a deep breath, Sylas pulled out a small, unmarked envelope and handed it to Inara. Otis might help, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Inara unfolded the paper. A map of the complex hidden escape route. It was risky, but their only chance. She nodded grimly and passed the envelope back to Sylas. Let's go, she said, her voice steady despite the fear. They moved quickly, slipping through a rarely used service corridor as Zarrin pursued them, his weapon at the ready. The door to the escape route loomed ahead, but it was locked. Inara's heart raced. Their only hope lay in this unknown passage. With a swift motion, Sylas inserted an encrypted key into the lock and turned it. The door hissed open, revealing a narrow stairwell leading down. They stepped inside, the echo of Zarrin's frustrated growl fading behind them. As they descended, Inara's mind raced with questions. Who had set up this elaborate trap, and what did they want from her? The bottom of the stairs was dark and silent, but the path ahead beckoned like a siren's song. What dangers awaited in the shadows below? Inara slides down the cold metal rail, her heart pounding in sync with her breath. She peers through the narrow opening to see Sylas already, at the bottom, clutching the encrypted key and a crumpled map. Zarrin's snarls echo from above, growing louder. The rule of the bounty hunters guild is strict. Once an invoice is processed, the target cannot be helped or hindered in any way. But Inara can't help, but think this time feels different. Sylas tosses her a datapad and whispers, "Quickly, enter it here." Inara dials the code, her fingers trembling as she processes the final steps. The screen lights up with confirmation, but something is off. There is a delay before the invoice fully registers. Panic rises as Zarrin's growl turns into a menacing bark. With a last glance at Sylas, Inara forces herself to concentrate on the task. "I'm sure, I'm the task. How are you doing?" she says in a small voice. Zarrin's form materializes below, his eyes glowing with rage. "You think this is the end?" "Also, Riard's turn." "Oh," he snarls, leaping for her. "Resto, Ranya Pinko, no chicken, and more better." Sylas draws his blaster, but Zarrin is too quick. He shoves Sylas back and lunges at Inara, who barely steps out of the way in time. "Or why now?" Inara demands as she backs away from the danger, clutching the datapad tightly. The unanswered question lingers. Why did they choose this moment to strike? Inara braces for Zarrin's unpredictable next move. Next move. Inara darts around a corner, her heart pounding as Zarrin's heavy footsteps echo behind. Microscene 1. The duo narrowly avoids an oncoming security patrol and dash into a small storage room. Inara slides the encrypted key into a slot on the wall, revealing a hidden passageway that leads to a stairwell. The bounty hunter Guild administers these warehouses as secure transit points, but strictly monitors all exits to prevent unauthorized access. Microscene 2. They clamber down the narrow stairs, Inara, grip tightening around the mysterious map. "What ain't?" Zarrin snarls from above, and they hear the security patrol turn a corner just behind them. Sylas pulls out a small blaster, ready to defend but unsure how long their supply of ammo will last. With each step down, Inara wonders if the true mastermind behind this trap is someone they've yet to meet, or an old adversary they thought they'd left in the past. Inara leaps through the hidden passageway, just as Zarrin's claws scrape against the wall. They tumble into darkness, the cold metal of the ductwork pressing against Inara's back. The rule is clear. All exits are monitored for unauthorized access. They crawl on hands and knees. The map pinpoints their direction, but offers no comfort. The air grows colder, and the echo of Zarrin's heavy steps grow louder. Sylas's breath comes in short gasps. His fingers barely hold onto the edge of the duct as they descend another level. The consequence is stark. The stairs are lined with security cameras, their presence a silent sentinel. Inara tumbles into the next chamber, landing awkwardly as she realizes the floor has dropped away beneath her. Zarrin stands there, his eyes narrowing, prepared to face whatever comes next. "Can't we just start?" Sylas starts, but Inara cuts him off with a look. The map points to another passageway, this one leading them deeper into the heart of the warehouse. Why did they choose this moment? What secrets does this place hold? The stairs are lined with security cameras, their presence a silent sentinel. Her heart pounds as Inara starts her descent, each step echoing in the silence. Stairs creak beneath Inara's feet as she descends deeper into the belly of the warehouse. The rule is clear: no unauthorized exits are permitted after dark. A sudden hiss and a flickering light reveals Zarrin lurking in an adjacent shadow, her eyes glowing with malevolent curiosity. Sylas gasps, almost giving away their position. Inara shushes him, squeezing her grip on the encrypted key. The stairs open into a dimly lit chamber, lined with high-tech surveillance equipment. Zarrin steps closer, her breath visible in the cold air. "You think you can outsmart us, bounty hunter?" she hisses, her claws bared. Inara glances at Sylas, who nods encouragement. They move towards an old battered desk, where a hologram of a man named Kayla flickers to life. His eyes are sharp and calculating. "You must find the artifact before it's too late," he intones in a smooth voice. The map on Inara's hand seems to glow faintly under the dim light. Zarrin lunges, her claws slicing through the air, inches from Sylas. He yelps and falls back, knocking over a stack of old invoices. The noise reverberates loudly, but Inara has already slipped behind Zarrin, shoving the key into a hidden panel in the wall. A metallic whirring sounds as a secret door slides open, leading to a narrow passage. Inara pulls Sylas through, just as Zarrin crashes into the open space, her eyes wide with fury. The passageway is dark and claustrophobic, the air thick with dust and fear. As they crawl forward, the map in Inara's hands seems to pulse with urgency. "What are we really dealing with here?" she whispers, the cold metal of the key pressing into her palm. Inara slides through the narrow duct, her breath misting in the cold air. Below, Zarrin's heavy footsteps grow louder as he approaches. The encrypted key and map are their only hope. The rule is clear: every invoice must be processed with absolute discretion. A sudden hiss of a security door opening nearby sends Inara into a panic. She pulls Sylas into another concealed passage, just as guards flood the corridor below. The stairs ahead are lined with silent surveillance, their presence ominous. Their cover is thin, and every moment increases the risk of being found. Inara and Sylas crawl through the darkness, guided by the flickering map light. Suddenly, a door cracks open at the end of the passage, revealing a dimly lit room filled with ancient artifacts. The encrypted key fits perfectly into a slot on an ornate console. With a low hum, the door swings inward, leading to a hidden chamber. The consequence is immediate: they must enter or be caught. Inside, Inara and Sylas find themselves in a vast vault, walls lined with glowing crystals. At the center stands a massive droid, its circuits sparking with power. The key activates it, and the droid whirs into life, scanning them with cold metallic eyes. What secrets does this droid hold about their unseen threat? The dim light flickered over Inara's gaunt face as she pried open another drawer, her fingers trembling. She knew this was Eton, her last chance to stall. Rules are clear, she reminded herself. Murder reduced to invoices. She checked the ledger and began entering coordinates for the next safe house, trying to hide her growing anxiety. The droid's location was marked with an X, but Inara couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Sylas's whispered encouragement echoed in her mind. "I keep moving, Inara. Keep breathing." A sharp rapping at the door cut through the silence. Inara's heart raced as she quickly concealed the ledger under a pile of documents. "The protocol is strict," she reminded herself. "No, one sees what they shouldn't." She opened the door to reveal a pair of heavily armed guards, their eyes scanning the room with practiced suspicion. They glanced at the ledger on her desk and nodded curtly. "Means she called me Dalgalai. And I'd stuck it down. Miss Dealer's the only one that she black she are. Might saved us." "Everything's in order," Inara said, her voice steady despite the panic building inside her. They left without another word, leaving Inara alone once more. But now, every moment felt like a ticking clock. counting down to her inevitable capture. What is that droid for? Mission marker nest. And who's behind this? Inara's fingers clutched at the edge of the desk as she realized every second wasted brought them closer to failure. She needed to find the droid, now more than ever. But where to begin? Inara slides deeper into her desk chair as the heavy metal door creaks open. Sylas tenses beside her, but she knows better than to trust his silent presence. Every ledger must be reviewed by a supervisor before being filed. A sharp intake of breath from behind her arm. Sylas's hand tightens on hers. The guards notice the hidden ledger. Maritime Western, Ishetan Rajo, Mankademastel, Protection Lode, Adja, Tanglopo Zero Down. Identify yourself. One growls, his eyes narrowing. Inara's heart races as she quickly passes the ledger to Sylas. Just a clerk, she whispers, praying he can keep it safe. Sylas shoves the ledger under a pile of papers, hoping the supervisor will overlook them. A hand reaches out for Inara, and then she winces, bracing herself. Stay calm, Sylas hisses urgently. The supervisor scans her documents, stopping at the ledger. This one looks suspicious. Inara clamps her mouth shut, willing her hands to stop trembling. The droid's purpose remains a mystery, but now, the real threat is glaring at her from across the desk. Inara fumbles with the ledger, tucking it under a stack of invoices, just as the heavy door creaks open. She straightens, her breath visible in the chill air. The rule is clear. All discrepancies must be resolved before the droid's activation sequence can begin. Sylas, hidden behind a desk, whispers urgently, "What if they find it?" Inara's heart races as she spots the supervisor eyeing her. "We're not sure. Our decent tractor." She quickly glances at Sylas, and then back to the guards. The ledger could be their undoing, or their only hope. "Everything is in order," Inara says, trying to sound confident. The guard nods, but his eyes linger on the ledger for a moment too long. Inara's hands tremble as she pretends to straighten a pile of papers. She can feel Sylas's gaze, knowing hearts just as nervous. "Should we stay or go?" whispers Sylas. Inara hesitates, her mind racing. The droid could activate at any moment, and the ledger might tip their hand. "Wait," she hisses. "No." She hisses. What does it do? The supervisor moves closer, inspecting a document with an unusually sharp gaze. Inara's pulse quickens as the guard's fingers graze the edge of her secret cache. What if the droid is here to steal more than just data? Inara tucks the ledger behind her back as guards march past, their boots echoing in the vast sterile hall. The droid's presence looms over them, its encrypted circuits humming ominously. Protocol 42 dictates all documents must be reviewed. A supervisor drones, his voice amplified by the office speakers. Inara and Sylas exchange glances, fingers tightening on the hidden ledger. Sylas whispers urgently, "We need to find out what it does before they do." Inara nods, her heart pounding. Agreed. She pulls a small device from her pocket, a scanner she had jury-rigged earlier to buy them time. Scan for anomalies, Inara instructs Sylas as the supervisor begins his rounds. The scanner hums to life, its lights flickering rapidly. The droid circuits flare with power, and an encrypted message starts to form on the screen. They need to find the key to their escape in the ledger, before it's too late. Inara watches the display, anxiously, as more guards enter the hall, their footsteps growing louder. What if the droid detects their hiding spot? Inara whispers to Sylas, as they crouch behind a metal desk. The scanner's lights flicker, forming an encrypted message. Activate Protocol 74. It reads faintly. The droid is programmed to prioritize security over all other tasks. More guards burst into the hall, weapons drawn and voices raising in alarm. Inara's heart races as she realizes they must act now or be caught. Behind the cluttered desk, I fumble for the activation key as Inara's breath hisses in my ear. "We need to do this," she whispers urgently. Protocol 74 activates with a soft hum, and the scanner beeps insistently. A red light blinks on, reading, "Activating lockdown procedure." The room fills with a heavy silence as alarms wail outside, drawing more guards. Inara's grip tightens around my arm. "We have to move," she urges. Inara shoves me forward, and I stumble over a stack of invoices. The desk creaks under our combined weight as we start to push it towards the window. Guards burst through the door, their weapons raised. Inara ducks behind the desk, pulling out a blaster. "Stay down," she hisses. Sylas shouts, "Lockdown protocol initiated." As the first guard approaches, no one moves. Inara's head snaps up as realization dawns. The guards hesitate, their eyes darting to the scanner. "We need to keep them distracted," I whisper. I push harder on the desk, trying to break it free from its moorings. Suddenly, the window shatters and a blaster bolt zips past my ear. Inara fires back, but the guards are closing in fast. "Get out!" she yells as another guard aims for me. I scramble towards the opening, but the desk seems to defy gravity. The room erupts into a chaotic melee of blaster fire and shouting. Inara's voice rings out over the din. "Use it." She tosses me a small devicer, the activation key for Protocol 74, just as a guard grabs my arm. Time slows as I grasp the key, feeling its cold metal in my palm. My heart races with anticipation. Will we survive this? Inara hovers over the desk, fingers poised above the protocol key. Microscene 1. The scanner's red light blinks urgently. "Activate Protocol 74, it repeats, but the key remains stubbornly stuck in place. Protocol keys are designed to be tamper-resistant for security reasons. Consequence Microscene 2. Guards burst through a hidden door, their blaster bolts ricocheting off the walls as they shout orders. Inara and I scramble behind the desk, but our cover is thin against the hail of fire. Will we manage to activate Protocol 74 in time to escape, or will the room's defenses turn on us before we can? Inara's fingers scrape against the key, sweat slicking her palms. I wrestle with the desk, trying to push it aside as guards' heavy boots thunder closer. Inara's desperate cries of pain and concentration echo through the chamber. The protocol can only be activated if both the key and the desk are fully removed from their hidden position. With a final strangled cry, Inara's hand slips from the key, and it clatters to the floor. The guard's boots hit the concealed threshold. There are no time left. I grab her arm, pulling her towards the wall as blaster bolts begin to ping off the metal. Will we make it out alive, or be sealed inside with the automated defenses? Inara's fingers fumble over the key as more guards approach with each passing second. "But, come on," I mutter, trying to pry open the desk with all my might. The scanner blinks again, this time displaying a countdown. 1:45-0. We only have minutes. Inara yanks harder at the key, her face red from exertion. I watch. The desk shifts slightly, but remains stubbornly in place. A blaster bolt whizzes past our heads as another guard bursts through the door. "Inara, now!" I shout, gesturing wildly with one hand while trying to hold the desk steady with the other. She shoves the key into the slot and turns it. The protocol activates her. A series of alarms ring out, but no lockdown doors descend. "Shouldn't be working," Inara mutters, her voice strained. "This is bad." "Horizon bad. The room shakes. as a hidden mechanism clicks into place. Mein Schildner, Mal! Niemals, I cry, realizing too late that the protocol has engaged a trap. A mechanical whir fills the air, and the floor begins to lower slowly, creating a pit between us and the door. Inara's eyes widen in horror as she understands our predicament. Nichen, understand our predicament. Jump, I say, grabbing her arm and pulling her toward me. Come on. We spring, mid-air, aiming for the other side of the descending platform. Just as we clear it, the floor drops away, plunging us into darkness below. We hit the ground hard, Inara's scream echoing in my ears. The pit is deep and cold. I can't see anything but blackness. Inara, I call out, reaching for her hand. A challenge. Can you move? The sound of blaster fire and shouting drifts up from somewhere far below. We're trapped here until someone finds us, or until the guards seal off this section permanently. But with Inara lying still on the ground beside me, I can't shake the feeling that we've just made a grave mistake. Are we alone down here? Inara grunts as she twists the key, her fingers slipping on sweat. Mal's hand braces against hers, his grip firm but futile. The scanner beeps insistently. Protocol 74. Protocol 74 tar. Guards spill into the corridor, their blaster bolts slicing through air. With a final desperate twist, Inara pops the desk free and smashes it open, revealing the activation panel. Mal's eyes widen as they both grasp the key, shoving and pulling to insert it. The floor groans ominously beneath them. Mal, now. Inara yells, her voice strained. The ground splits apart in a widening chasm, swallowing their desks and leaving them dangling mid-air above a black abyss. Guards pour into the corridor, weapons trained on the suspended duo. Inara's fingers fumble with the activation switch as Mal struggles to stay balanced. With a metallic hiss, the room fills with blinding light, followed by the distant rumble of mechanical gears. The floor lowers, but the guards' shots ping harmlessly against the steel plating, now separating them from the pit. Mal's eyes dart around, searching for an escape route as the automated turrets start to rotate. We need to get down there, he whispers, his voice barely audible over the clatter of gears. But how? Inara tightens her grip on the key, her knuckles white. The turrets lock onto their position, their laser sights glinting ominously in the dim light. What lurks below, waiting to claim them? The chasm loomed like an abyss, its dark depths swallowing all light. Inara's fingers trembled as she fumbled with the control panel, her breath misting in the cold air. The control panel demanded precise entry of the activation code within 30 seconds. The guard's flashlight beam swept across their position, casting eerie shadows on the wall. Mal gritted his teeth and pressed harder, but Inara's hands were slick with sweat. Inara missed the last key by half a second, and the hidden panel stayed locked. The turret's whine grew louder, and Mal's eyes locked onto hers. Come on, he whispered urgently, barely audible over the rising tension. A burst of energy crackled through the air, and Inara knew they were running out of time. Inara slammed her palm against the panel, but it refused to budge. Panic surged as the guards closed in, their weapons trained on them. She could feel Mal's gaze drilling into her, urging her to find a way, anyway. What if this was how it ended now, trapped between chasms and codes? Inara's fingers dance across the cold metallic panel, as Mal steadies her with an encouraging nod. Time ticks down. The protocol mandates precise code entry within 30 seconds. Deeper. The red warning lights blink, faster, taunting them into a tighter circle. Inara hits another key, but the screen remains blank. Protocol states that failure results in automatic self-destruction of the facility in 1 minute. Mal grabs her wrist, pulling her back as turrets whine to life, their lasers locking onto their position. Inara, We need all. A loud crack echoes through the chasm, and a hidden panel slides open with a hiss. Mal shoves Inara inside, just as a burst of energy sears where she was standing. Cracking, the air is thick with the smell of ozone. Inara clutches her ear, blood trickling down her fingers. Way under it, she gasps, pulling herself to her feet and rushing into the darkened chamber. Mal follows closely behind, both of them aware that they're not out of danger yet. What lies ahead in the shadows? Inara's fingers dance across the control panel, as time seems to slow. Mount. Mal stands watch, his eyes scanning the encroaching turrets. Protocol dictates exact code entry. Any mistake means instant destruction. The hidden panel clicks open with a soft whir, revealing ancient schematics and strange symbols. Inara types quickly, but hesitates at an unfamiliar sequence. Time ticks away as she tries to remember which number was last used here. A loud crack echoes from the chasm below, and Mal whirls around. "What was that?" he shouts, eyes narrowing. The turrets turn their guns on him. "Mountain Rider." Mal's warning comes too late. A blaster bolt whizzes past his ear, grazing Inara's temple. She gasps, but manages to enter the correct code just as the countdown hits 0. The hidden door slides shut with a heavy clang, sealing off the chamber from the Kazmar's danger. But another problem looms out. Malfunctioning alarms signal an intrusion in the adjacent sector that time. Inara and then exchange a grim look. "What's out there?" Mal asks, his voice tight. A cold wind blows through the chamber as shadows whisper secrets of past betrayals and hidden agendas. What horrors wait beyond the sealed door? Mal's hand hovers over the glowing keypad as turrets whir into action. Inara frowns at the intricate symbols, her fingers trembling. "Mal, we need to enter the correct code," she whispers urgently. Protocol requires precise synchronization of keystrokes and vocal commands for activation. Any mistake results in immediate self-destruction. Mal hesitates, his fingers hovering over the keys as he prepares to type the first sequence. The turret's locks rattle ominously closer, and Inara flinches, her ear throbbing. "I can't do this," Mal mutters, his voice strained, as the seconds tick down towards a fiery end. Mal hesitates at the keypad as turrets close in. The red numbers pulse ominously. "Wait out, or I won't be some missionaries." "Inara," he whispers, his voice barely audible over the blaring alarms. "Can you read these?" Inara frowns, squinting at the ancient symbols. "They're not standard. I've never seen anything like this." Mal types a few random entries, but the panel remains unresponsive. The turret spirals are now just inches away. "Maybe we need to input something specific," Inara suggests, her voice tinged with urgency. She points at an inscription above the keypad. "Ye 2743, Aegis Protocol ... Mal swallows hard and types the code. Nothing happens. "Winker, Anisaro, Ononjero, Astal, Nanirishe, Rokshamus." Time is running out. The turrets are almost upon them. But suddenly, a low hum fills the chamber as the panel springs to life. Mal and Inara step back, just in time as a blast of energy scours the room, disabling the turrets. But their victory is short-lived. A loud rumbling starts from the floor, and they look down to see a large metallic door opening slowly. "What's that?" Mal asks, his heart pounding. "Neshtimil, we're hiding it. What's going after that, me?" Inara steps forward cautiously, her hand on her sidearm. "We should find out," she says, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. As the door fully opens, they peer into the shadowy depths below. A dark shape emerges, its purpose unknown and potentially deadly. Whatever it is, Mal murmurs, it's not happy. "Mission, oh no, or down to Banter Alto." The door hissed open, revealing a 27743 standing in the dim light. Malar's heart pounded as he stepped closer to Inara, Western Inara Dr. Bucknell, and Abel Darnley, and in so much the mission by, and arranged that graduation. At 2743, activated Aegis Protocol, a protocol that reduced all life to mere data and paperwork. Cornelius, Inara's eyes widened as she saw the protocol activate, the terminal screen flickering to show a cold, clinical layout of their situation. Mal could feel the chill in the air. Intensifies at 2743 began the process. At 2743's fingers danced over the keyboard, inputting coordinates and data with mechanical precision. Dr. Lee said. Inara turned to face him, her voice barely above a whisper. What are you doing? Mal swallowed hard, his mind racing. Racing. We have no choice, he said, his eyes never leaving. At 2743's back, if they find out we're here. And this are no brow, and they want the second cups. A series of beeps interrupted them as the protocol completed its cycle. Master Arrington line, so the screen displayed a final message. Invoices generated for services rendered. Mal and Inara exchanged a look of grim determination. But the silence that followed was deafening, hanging between them like a heavy weight. The silence was broken by the hiss of the door opening. And the door hissed open, revealing a 2743, standing in shadow. Mal's heart pounded as he stepped closer to the console, Inara by his side. At 2743 began inputting coordinates into the system, each keystroke a grim determination. Aegis Protocol. Engage, the mechanical voice declared. Yield. The screen flickered, displaying an invoice for services rendered. Bounty Hunter Services, 100,000 credits. Mal's eyes widened as he read the fine print. Nice to know. The cost of survival was steep. They had to clear this debt quickly or face something worse. Etsu 700. And 43 turned to them with a cold, unyielding stare. Your options are limited, it stated. No, I don't. How do you correct Sheridan Norton? War. Pay your debt, or be reclaimed. Or messenger and Jandal, Madame Cho, Nishtard, or down to none too, or Chester rights. Mal's grip tightened on his blaster. Reclaimed by who? Olero, Rachel, March Sentinel. Inara stepped forward, her voice steady. Aegis Protocol enforces the bounty hunter's contracts. She glanced at Mal. Nashi Senator, Revolutionary, and radio content, and deliver line. We need to find a way out of this. The door behind, at 2743, began to close, sealing them in. Time is running out, said at 2743. Search going, I put straight out, turning them up at check across the crate. Mal's eyes darted around the room. Mention the girl, I've just studied them. She sent the question, cool, mention Nick and Ma. There was no escape. They were trapped until their debt was paid. The final sentence on the screen read, Invoices generated, for services rendered. Mal swallowed hard, his mind racing for a way to avoid being reclaimed. What would it take to clear this debt? Mal's shadow stretches across the cold metal floor as he steps closer to E2743. I glance at Inara, her eyes reflecting a mix of fear and determination. E2743 hums softly, its screen flickering with data that line. Invoices generated. For services rendered. It repeats monotonously. Above us, the old grandfather clock chimes loudly, its echo amplifying the oppressive quiet of the room. The door closes behind us, sealing our fate. Inara steps forward, her voice barely above a whisper. We need to find a way out of here. E2743's screen blinks, and a new warning appears. Debt exceeds threshold. Reclamation protocol initiated. The AI's tone remains neutral, but the implications are clearer. Our time is running out. Mal clenches his fists, frustration growing. We can't just sit here. He approaches the console, fingers hovering over the controls. There must be a way to override this. Inara steps beside him, her hand resting on his arm. Maybe not now, she whispers, but we need to think of something fast before they come for us. The door rattles slightly, and Mal's eyes widen. A shadow dances against the wall, sir. Reclamation droids are approaching. Get ready, I say, my voice steady despite the panic building inside me. We have to buy some time. How long can we keep at 2743? From initiating full reclamation, Malar's hand hovers over the emergency override, fingers tense. Inara shifts nervously, glancing at the approaching droids. The protocol screen flickers, counting down from 60 to 59 seconds. Aegis protocol ensures compliance through automated reclamation if debts are not settled within 3 minutes. Malar's fingers finally hit the override switch, but a loud hiss fills the chamber as a containment lock seals them in. The droids pause, scanning the room with mechanical eyes before continuing their approach. How long can we hold this off? I don't know, it sounds disturbing. Inara's voice trembles, but her gaze is fixed on Mal, waiting for an answer.